Okay, another update for day 36. There's some other things I want to mention about as we go up into this higher realm. Um, right, we're into the top part of the astral tree. Um, so the more evolved beings of the astral plane are going to live up in this area. Um, Now, I still believe that virtually the whole thing is corrupt. This whole tree is corrupt. Um, but there are beings who live there that aren't aren't doing it, deliberately corrupting it, because it's just they haven't got any real choice. Now, an example of that would be in the Matrix films, the Keymaker. Now, he was captive. There's captives there that up until now haven't really had any choice about what they do. It doesn't mean that they're against you, but on the other hand, you can these beings they're going to be quite powerful. There's also going to be tricksters in there, and ones that's still going to be corrupt. Um, you've got to use you've got to work all this stuff out for yourself. Who's it worth talking to? You, I feel that it's in a sense. This is kind of like the area where you can start to talk with the immortals, or these higher power beings. Um, so I think you've got to have your wits about you to a quite a good degree to suss out what's going on, who's worth talking to, who's not. Um, it's exploration. I mean, it's exploration for me, so it should be exploration for you. There could, as it like in the Matrix films with the Keymaker, there could be really, and I'm almost certain that there's going to be really interesting and important beings that to make contact with and connect with are going to be very helpful in terms of moving up the tree and getting the rest of the work done more effectively. Um, but it will involve a certain amount of discrimination and good judgment. So this is going to happen over the next, well, the rest of this month. Really, we're going to go up into the top of the rest of this tree, back down again, and then back up again before we enter the mental plane. Also, if you've done a bit of study on how the trees overlap, you'll see that there's areas where the supernal triad, like for example, overlaps the astral plane and then forms a connection, and then overlaps also with the the mental plane of another separate tree. The sun sphere will connect with as the mental plane, and with Mars and Jupiter, it will also connect with the supernal triad and those three lower spheres, with the sun sphere and the spirit sphere linking, and it will form like a cross or two triangles joining together. So you've got like the rosy cross there, or the macabre sort of energies working. So that's something to bear in mind. So there's going to be four like kind of nexuses that have got this thing going on, and you can work out where they are. It's pretty obvious. Um, so that's something to bear in mind in relation to looking at the way these different energies overlap, and you can one flows into the other, and there's like an overlap. This is really quite important, and the way that the energies connect with each other, there's like a process going on, like a continual like process. And so when you go into these spheres, there's something to bear in mind. There's all this dynamic energy going on, flowing all the time, and a certain amount of that is to try and channel it through so that you're getting the most out of it. Because a lot of what these astral beings have been doing are working it so that we get the least benefit from it. And they're trying to get all the benefits from themselves and creating these feedback loops so that the energy just like got a capillary action that's going back up the tree instead of down the tree. and that's to do with this Venus and the corruption of the feminine, and and how you end up with this dark Lilith, dark moon Lilith, and with all the suppressed feminine energies that turn really dark and corrupt and hateful. And that's also connecting with Ereshkigal, the twin, Inanna's twin sister who lives in the underworld. Okay, right, there's some more stuff to begin with. Yeah, so as you start to form these, become more aware of these nexuses of energy, there are 3 different aspects of the tree all connect, or different trees all connect. I think that will help to move up the tree. You can use them as sort of like anchors, places where you can connect and keep solid, and use to move up the tree, like a bit like a ladder, like the solid rungs that we can use. Okay, right, I think that's about what I want to say. Yeah, of course, carry on with all the other things like your doing your exercises, taking your herbs, keeping your. I'm so hungry. And fasting for the first time. Like I kept looking at everything. It's the other thing I was going to say. It's good to start doing new things. If you've never fasted before, then recommend fasting. But just doing things that you've not done before that you think could be beneficial. They might be uncomfortable, but are new to you. Because it's good to get into the practice now of doing new things that you've not done before, if you can. Because that's what we're going to have to be getting used to. Our brain acting in different ways and dealing with different types of information that we haven't dealt with before. That's another thing I wanted to watch this Ajna Chakra video, is because he deals with a lot of the stuff about how that you feel differently when you get onto these levels, these higher levels, and you can feel like not going on any further because it feels uncomfortable. He talks about how to push through that and stick with it. So that's one of the things I want you to watch his videos for, because of that reason. It's a lot of information, and to deal with all this stuff is quite hard work. But that's why I say learn new things, push forward, do more work. Because the more work you do, the easier it becomes, and the more work you can do. And if you keep pushing yourself, you can get more done. This is what we need to do. It's going to get, in a sense, it's going to keep getting harder. But the point of it is that if you do the work and you keep pushing yourself, you will be able to keep developing. You'll develop as the work gets harder. So it won't seem like impossible. You just have to keep doing it. You're not going to get to a point where it suddenly gets easy, because you're constantly developing. It's not until we've done the whole course that we'll be able to stop and evaluate it all, and then just keep it ticking over. Then it'll start to get easier for a bit, but then most likely other problems will come along. As you're taking it easy, when another problem does come along, it will be difficult to deal with. So, the difficulty is probably not going to ever go away completely, and that's how things should be.